And we're working on just the addition of real numbers. So by real numbers, what we mean are positives and negatives. So we're going to be dealing with how to add those negative and positive numbers together. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about it in terms of the number line. On number 1, I have -3 plus -4. So if I start at -3 and I add -4, that means I'm moving left 1, 2, 3, 4, which puts me here at -7. So if I'm adding a negative number, I'm moving left on the number line. If I'm adding a positive number, I'm moving right on the number line. So -6 plus 2, I start here at -6, and then I'm adding a positive 2, so I add 2 to the right, which puts me at -4. On number 3, I start at 5, positive 5, and I am adding a -8, which means I'm moving to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that puts me at -3. So that's using a number line. You're not going to make a number line every time, so you are going to need to know how to do it without a number line. One of the things you need to know in there is adding the inverses or opposites. So opposites are the positive and the negative of the same number. So a plus a -a equals 0. So here I have -20 plus 20, so those are additive inverses or opposites. When I add those together, it's like I give you $20 and then I take it away, which means you are left with $0. So whenever you add opposites, so 3 plus -3, if I look at that in the number line, 3 plus -3 puts me at 0. And 5 plus -5, give you $5, take it away, you're left with 0. If I'm adding numbers with the same sign, then I simply add them the way I normally would if they weren't negative, and then I keep that negative sign. So if they're both positive, I just add them like normal. If they're both negative, I add them like normal, and then make the answer negative. So if I have -11 plus -15, 11 plus 15 is 26. Because both of them are negative, it's going to be a -26. -0.2 plus -0.8. 0.2 plus 0.8, just giving you a very brief vertical reminder of how to add these. 2 plus 8 is 10. Bring down the decimal. Sorry. So 2 plus 8 is 10. So I take my 0, carry the 1, bring the decimal down, so that gives me 1 whole, so just 1. Because both of those are negative, this is going to be a -1. -3/4 plus -1/2. Once again, my answer is going to be negative, but I have to look at this in terms of changing that fraction so that I can add it to 3/4. So I need to have the same denominator. To get from 2 to 4, I can multiply this by 2 over 2. So -3/4 plus -2/4. Remember, I just add the top numbers, so -3 plus -2. 3 plus 2 is 5, so -3 plus -2 is going to be -5. And the denominator stays the same. So -5/4 is my answer. So adding numbers without the same sign. What I do now is I subtract the absolute values, so meaning they're positive values. Then your answer will have the same side as same sign as the quote-unquote bigger number. So I have negative 13 and I have positive 4. I already know my answer is going to be negative because 13 is the bigger number, and it's negative. So 13 minus 4 is 9. So 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. And because 13 is the larger number, this is going to be a negative 9. Negative 15 plus 2. If I just look at this as 15 minus 2, that's going to be 13, because 15 is the quote-unquote bigger number. Or sorry, because 15 is the bigger number. Then this is going to be negative 13. Negative 2/3 plus 1/6. Here's a little bit trickier. You have to think about what is bigger. So I'm going to put them in terms of having the same denominator. So to get from 2/3 to a denominator of 3 to a denominator of 6, I need to multiply this by 3 over 3. So I have negative, just kidding, not 3 over 3, 2 over 2, my apologies. So I'm going to have negative 4 over 6 plus 1 over 6. Obviously, 4 over 6 is more than 1 over 6, or is bigger than 1 over 6. So because the negative 4 6 is negative, it's going to be a negative answer. So the difference between 4 and 1, so 4 minus 1 is 3. So this is going to be a negative 3 over 6. And I can reduce that if I want to negative 1/2. So basically, when you're adding a negative, you're just subtracting. But when you look at, you just need to pay attention to what your sign is going to be. Is the bigger number negative or positive? If the bigger number is negative, your answer is going to be negative. I'm going to go ahead and add one more example here. If I have 15 plus negative 2, 15 minus 2 is 13. And because the 2 is the negative one, we're just going to use 13. So if your smaller number is negative, you're really just subtracting. You don't even have to worry about anything else. Adding the negative is the same thing as subtracting. All right, the last concept we're going to do is simplifying the algebraic expression using those rules that we just talked about. If I have negative 11x plus 7x, negative 11 is obviously the bigger number, so our answer is going to be negative. So if you look at what 11 minus 7 is, that difference is going to be 4. So this is going to be a negative 4. Because those are like terms, both with an x, it's going to be negative 4x. On number 11, I need to look at what my like terms are. I have a 7y, negative 12x, negative 9y, and a 15x. So I'll start with my y's. 7x and negative 7y and negative 9y. So the difference between 7 and 9, 9 minus 7 is 2y. 9 is the bigger number, and it's negative, so this is going to be negative 2y. I'm done with those two. Negative 12 plus 15. 15 is the bigger number, so this is going to be a positive answer between the two of those. 15 minus 12 is 3. Those both have an x with them, so it's going to be 3x. On number 12, I need to distribute before I can combine my like terms. So 3 times 7x is 21x. 3 times 8 is 24, so plus 24. And then plus negative 25x. So my like terms, 21x and negative 25x. 25 minus 21 is 4x. Because 25 is the bigger number and it's negative, It's going to be a negative 4x. I can't combine that 24 with anything, so I'm going to drop it down, plus 24, and that's as much as I can simplify number 12. So your homework is numbers 15 through 25, odds. So what that means is 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, and 25. And then number 41, 43, and then 53, 54, 55, and 56. So I'm going to go ahead and put the homework page up here. So if you don't have the book, you can just copy those down, pause it, and copy those down. Okay, so you have 15 through 25, so we're looking at all those right there. I'm going to scoot you down just a little bit. Try to anyway. Got 41 and 43. Make sure you don't skip those fractions. They're not going to go away. And then 53 through 56. So that is down at the bottom of the page. So pause and write those down. And then 56 up here at the top of the page. All right, that's it for section 1.5. We'll be moving on to subtracting real numbers tomorrow. Thank you for joining me.